I really don't know what to say about this.
Good way to start. Thank you, Mike. Well, hello, everyone out there in podcast land. Welcome to the Front Row Movie Reviews, the podcast for people who actually like movies, and for Mike, who doesn't know how the live button works.
I was on a different tab. I'm sorry.
And we are here for another edition of Front Row Flashback. No, once again, we have not been canceled. I just have to write a dissertation, so sometimes I skip months. Sorry. And we are here for an amazing film that I will fight for tooth and nail. Somewhere between Boris Karloff and Tom Cruise, there are a couple of decades of movies that define generations. For many, they are classics. For everybody, they are a flashback. And we are here to talk about one of the best Halloween films of the 1980s, Fight Me. And it's brought to you by the guys who made the last Predator movie. Don't hold it against them. Fred Dekker and Shane Black. That was them.
Hold on. If based on what Scott just said, you think we're about to do a review on Space Invaders, just turn this off.
That's on the list. That and Fright Night are my two final Halloween movies that we have.
Come on, Ernest Scared Stupid?
Okay. That's... Yeah, okay. The list continues. So we're here to talk about Monster Squad, though. Came out in 1987, directed by Fred Dekker and written by Shane Black. Because when I think Shane Black, I think the Monster Squad and destroying Iron Man. That's about it.
I think of him getting killed in Predator. That's just
well, he got destroyed by an Iron Man.
You forgot starring Jason Hervey. I mean, come on.
And a whole bunch of guys trying to be Corey Feldman and failing at it.
At least one.
There are no Corys in this film.
Just turn the podcast off.
Let's go ahead and get started. We'll go with the two folks who were barely alive when this film came out first. Ryan, tell me, I guess we could introduce ourselves first. I'm Scott.
I'm Ryan.
I'm Craig. When you don't do this for a while, Scott, you forget about
format,
the little things.
Screw format.
And I'm Mike. Hi.
I'm just sitting here eating the Halloween candy. Screw format.
Oh, I want some.
I know. My kids have way too much already, and it's not even Halloween yet. But they're cute.
You can only buy candy corn in bags of like 10 gallons, and I only want to eat 10 pieces to realize that I'm sick of it and don't want to.
But they are amazing 10 pieces, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
To be fair, candy corn costs about 6 cents per pound, so you could just buy a full bag of it, eat 10 pieces, and then...
And I do every year.
I did just buy a bag, and I haven't even opened it up yet, of caramel apple candy corn.
I saw a s'mores candy corn today at Walgreens, and I thought that sounded
You don't need to mix that. The only thing you need is candy corn and then like cake frosting.
My kid is
that's my life
candy corn right now.
My TED Talk.
Your TED Talk.
My kid had a movie thing in school today, and she brought home a bag of popcorn with candy corn mixed in, and it was
the best way to do it. That's the best way to do it.
It was heaven.
All right, we need to start this over.
No, we're live. Fuck it, we're live. Okay.
All right.
Hey, Ryan, tell me about your first impressions of Monster Squad and candy corn.
Well, I was probably eating candy corn when I first saw Monster Squad. No, but I remember watching this movie as a young kid, and this movie rocked my world. It really gave me an appreciation for the old school monster films. But I don't know. It was just something about this movie that, as a kid, I was like, there's a sense of adventure because these kids are going off and doing, this giant adventure of trying to stop evil from taking over the world, and they're battling classic monsters. And to me, it just, I don't know. It's one of my favorites. I love it. So,
Craig.
Yeah, I am on record as saying that horror movies to this day terrify me, and I have to sleep with the light on, and if I get any sleep at all. So I don't watch Halloween movies, which is why my favorite Halloween movies are Hocus Pocus and Monster Squad. But hear me out, because they're the perfect introduction to these monsters. If you haven't seen the old Universal classics, you get all of them, and they do a good job of representing all of those monsters. They give Frankenstein some of the compassion that he gets in his classics.
He doesn't kill the little kid, though.
Right. They make Dracula into kind of the leader. The mummy is just limping around everywhere. The Wolfman has nards. We know that. I mean, it's just.
I was going to go for brute force, but
encapsulation, and it also includes creatures from the Black Lagoon, who was my favorite monster. That was my favorite monster.
Do you like Twinkies?
So.
Who technically was not a Universal monster because he came out in the 50s, and by then the Universal monsters had kind of done their thing. But I hear you.
Yeah, but it's a great movie. It's one to go back and revisit. I would actually disagree with you a bit, Scott. I would say that this is on the list of best Halloween movies, period, not just from the 80s. I would say that it transcends that a little bit. The fact that it is so nostalgically, ridiculously 80s just makes it that much better. And outside of that, I just have to say Stephen King rules.
More importantly, Craig, I think it's one of the top family Halloween movies.
Yeah.
This is one of the things I love about this movie, and why I say it's an 80s film, is because it is a kids movie. There are kids in it. It is a family movie, but the body count is so high.
And the language and everything, so adult.
We'll talk about all that.
Some adult themes, yeah.
Mike, would you like to be the wet blanket, sir?
It's more like a damp blanket. I don't know. I mean, in all honesty, so my recollection of first seeing this movie is almost non-existent. Monster Squad is in my mind as a movie that I always thought of fondly, but it was definitely not one of my most favoriteest of Halloween movies. As previously mentioned, I will jam when we talk about Space Invaders, but Monster Squad was just kind of a movie that was there that I saw as a kid that I enjoyed. So I almost consider that earlier today when I watched this movie was like my born again moment of watching Monster Squad, and it was real weird.
I think this definitely has a nostalgic flair. You got to catch it when you're a kid.
That's very possible. And the thing about it right out of the gate, and I don't know if I'm going to dive too deep here right off the bat, but like right out of the gate, there's a whole lot of stuff that is so much a product of the times. Language-wise, stuff that would not fly in movies in our more, I don't want to say more politically correct environment, but in certain hot button issues that are out today, referring to the science teacher as a homo.
Oh, the first 5 minutes of the kids, there are so many.
It was real jarring, wasn't it?
Oh my gosh, I was just because my 8-year-old was watching with me. I'm just like, oh, I forgot about this, and it goes away. It goes away.
It does. So at first, my first impression of the movie was not great.
Can I take us on a slight tangent? Probably the first of many. But, I'm going back through and watching Scrubs. And this is a larger conversation that I'd love to get into sometime, not on Scott's podcast. But,
well, the hell you too.
But the thought, so talking with some coworkers and things, coming back to what is going to be our generation's blackface. So, something that you think is perfectly acceptable now, that when you go back and watch it 50 years from now, you're going to go, oh my God, this is terrible. And then the example I used was I'm going back and watching Scrubs, which is a perfectly great TV show. I really enjoy it. But man, they do some awful gay bashing in that show. And that show is just from the early 2000s. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering if that, is something that we would look back to now and say, well, yeah, this is not PC. This is not like
undoubtedly.
So it's just something. It's just an interesting thing to think about. Like, what will people look back on us and say, "Oh my God, I can't believe they were doing that."
That's what I had myself thinking when I was watching this a couple nights ago. Was as much as I'm not proud of it, and none of us should be proud of it. The way they're talking in the high school scenes at the beginning is how high schoolers talk in the 80s and 90s.
I was I was thinking the very same thing. It was jarring to me at first because I was not expecting it, and I didn't realize how terse that it would enter my ears today. But then thinking about this a little bit more, exactly what Craig said, movies today are going to be viewed the same way by people two decades from now. And it's like, quite frankly, it's probably some of the most authentic 80s dialogue from a high school.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what's missing from Stranger Things.
Right.
So yeah, no, it's completely true and completely valid. And I mean, so I want to go on to say though, like after I kind of got through that initial shock, and as Scott pointed out, it actually drops rather quickly. It's just a fun movie the whole rest of the way through, and at the point when like I wanted to feel ashamed of liking it, but at the end of the day, when the final credits roll, like I was sitting there kind of like almost with goosebumps, like very happy that I watched that film.
Yeah, it's such it's so perfect for this time of year and for Halloween, and it's awesome because it's on 2 of the different streaming services that I have right now. It's on Hulu and it's on Amazon Prime. And I was like, yeah, I could get it anywhere I want it.
I didn't have to look because I've owned the Blu-ray for years.
I own the Blu-ray as well.
With multiple commentaries. But no, for me, I'm with the guys who watched this more so when I was a kid. This was on standard rotation on HBO back when HBO ran like the same 10 movies over and over and over and over again, especially in October time. So I probably watched this thing 20, 30, 40, 50 times.
You might have just cracked the case for me. I feel like my childhood experience for this movie is damaged because I probably only saw bits and pieces of it when I was a kid. I probably saw the whole movie in its entirety, just not in a continuous sitting.
So were you one of those kids who didn't get HBO but had to watch the little fuzzy lines on the HBO?
I didn't do the fuzzy lines, but like,
I think I see a boob. Woo!
They did the free weekends. I couldn't, no. But like, yeah, I probably did the free weekends or like went to my uncle's house or something, and
Yeah. But for me, I mean, the reason why this movie is so endearing is, I am a big Universal Monster fan. I have been. I think my dad had me watching those things before I was potty trained, especially Bela Lugosi and Boris Karloff and everything that they did. I think my favorite of the franchises is the Frankenstein franchise. Those films are just extremely good. The Dracula franchise is hit and miss. The first movie is great, but Bela Lugosi is awesome as Dracula. I think he's even better as Igor in the later Frankenstein films.
You a big fan of Plan 9 from Outer Space?
No, not so much. No, but so you have that, and you have the combining of all the Universal monsters in a way that really wasn't done in that time period. And it's not going to be done in the 2010s because Universal failed that miserably. So you had that going, but then also it's very Goonies-like, and that is also another reason why I enjoy it quite a bit. It's not as good as the Goonies, I would say, but it's definitely trying to be the Goonies with monsters in it. It's desperately trying to be the Goonies. Even they have a fat kid, so it all works out.
Who's principally named Fat Kid through most of the movie.
His name is Horace.
Fat Kid? What makes Fat Kid fat? Fat Kid?
Classic.
There's so many lines.
Let's just do a tangent here and just talk about the amazing script. As much as I just made fun of Fred Decker and Shane Black for screwing up other franchises, there's a lot of good lines in this movie.
Get out of here, Phoebe the Phoebe.
I still think my favorite line in any film, hands down, and I don't know why, it just always sticks with me, is, "Are you sure you're a virgin?" "Well, Steve, but he doesn't count."
Doesn't count?
Is she a virgin?
My favorite is, "Creature stole my Twinkie." Oh, man.
3 words: scary German guy.
Blammo, we go home in limbo.
Oh, yeah, this is just a Ryan and Scott quotes movie podcast now.
The line that got me actually was, "How did the dog even get up here?"
The other
later, Band-Aid breath.
the other really good one from the same scene as the virgin scene is, we just went through some major shit. Where's the whole limbo thing? Craig, you have anything to add?
Just that Rudy's the coolest. I love all of Rudy's lines.
Yep.
I wanted to be Rudy so much.
How old is
Honestly,
Rudy?
I honestly like him better than Corey.
Rudy is, I don't know, Rudy's like 45 in this film, I think. Right?
The main group, aside from Phoebe, is what? They're probably 12, 13 tops. And Rudy shows up, and Rudy looks like he's in college.
Yeah. I'd like to also point out that it took me an entire semester in shop class to make a shitty ashtray. And he made like a
Silver
footstool, a whole quiver full of wooden stakes, and a bunch of silver bullets.
In a day.
Like a period, because then he went and taught himself archery.
Let's get this out of the way right now, because we've talked about a lot of montages on Flashback. I mean, the first movie we talked about was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and that has a great montage. Craig, we've talked about Rocky IV, which is basically 4 montages put together. I think this is one of the greatest 80s montages of all time. It's only for about 2 minutes, but the song is so 80s.
Rock until you drop.
And they're doing everything.
I'll segue on that point and tell you that I waited until the end credits. Did you sit and listen to the song?
Oh yes,
the song is
the
great.
Actual Monster Squad song, which, if you waited until the very end of the credits, was performed by the Monster Squad, who I can't find anything about on the internet.
You tried.
Oh, I tried for over an hour. There is a group called the Monster Squad. It's not them.
So I just want to go back to the montage. I mean, totally 80s, totally kid movies. Dear Army guys, there are monsters. Send help.
Yeah.
And they come.
And they come with tanks.
With tanks.
It was pre 9/11.
But the montage too, it's such what kids would do. I mean, Rudy's doing, as you mentioned, the silver bullets, still in the archery, but the other guys are just completely worthless. One is writing to the Army guys. The other guy is making business cards
and cutting them on the old school.
This is what I would have been doing when I was there, because I was the guy with the button maker for things. I mean, you can make business cards. It's okay. And they use the business card at the end.
Everybody has a job. So, but like, would they be the monster? Like, you know what I mean? Like, of course they call themselves the Monster Squad, but isn't like the squad of monsters the actual squad?
I think that was a selling point of the film. Yes.
Like, what do you call like a gaggle of monsters? Is it a squad? Is it a murder of monsters? Is it
That's the way to go right there? A murder of monsters.
I have a meme in my folder about this. Continue.
I love that you have a folder.
But you're right, Craig. The monsters definitely are the heart of this film. I mean, the kids, and this is why I say the Goonies is better, because there's not one kid in this film that I really latch on to as much as I latched on to every single member of the Goonies. Rudy's a little odd. Rudy's too busy trying to take pornographic photos of neighbors. Which is another one that now in the Me Too movement, that entire way they get the girl to do what they need her to do is very awkward. We're going to put a nudie picture of you on the bulletin board. Do what we say. Read this enchantment.
Right next to the Pom Pom Squad.
God damn! I found.
And the homecoming court.
Yeah.
I found my meme, but I don't know.
It's not that impressive.
No, I mean it's got its moments. I'm just gonna say it's officially called A Fuckload of Monsters.
That triggers a ton of monsters.
It works with the language in the film, so just call it that.
So, but I mean, Craig, I think you mentioned this. Every monster gets their due. I mean, well, except for the creature and the mummy, they kind of come and go. Yeah. But Dracula, I think the guy playing Dracula. Let me get his name.
Duncan Reker.
Thank you. He hams the shit out of this.
It's been stated like his performance is one of the scariest performances of Dracula ever.
Give me the amulet, you bitch!
The way they filmed that scene, that was priceless.
Have they seen Leslie Nielsen do Dracula though? I mean,
who hasn't?
For one, I do appreciate that this is obviously an homage to the Universal monsters, which this was not made by Universal. But he is in the Bela Lugosi Count Dracula outfit. And
Yeah.
I mean, unless there's a parody of it, like Liam Neeson.
Same difference.
Yeah, close enough. Unless
it's
it's
a particular set of teeth.
unless there's a parody, they usually don't wear like the cape with the high collar and everything else. But he is playing Bela Lugosi, and he's doing an amazing job at hamming it up. I love that guy in this film.
I mean, go ahead, Craig.
Well, I completely agree. I think that his even the stuff at the beginning, like the transformation from the bat to seeing Dracula.
That's really
for the
good
first
special
time.
effects.
It really
Thank you, Stan Winston.
There's a couple of good special effects. I want to talk about the phone booth when we talk about the Wolfman because that is really impressive for 1987. But just all the stuff with Van Helsing at the beginning, even it sets the tone of this film as a little bit darker than what you're expecting it to be.
Can I
almost
throw out a comparison when you're
No, go ahead.
Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah.
This movie is flat out fucking ridiculous, and it seems and it seems like it has like this weirdly impressive budget behind it.
I really want that on the poster whenever they do a re-release. This movie is fucking ridiculous. Movie reviews.
Just Craig, what you were talking about with the guy who played Dracula, his delivery on the lines, he didn't miss a single beat in any of his performance or his delivery. When I was a young kid and he's at the Sean's house and he blows up the cop car and he looks at the father and goes, "I will have your son." I'm like, "Fuck, dude!"
No, the best one is when he blows up the treehouse and goes, "Meeting
adjourned." It's frightening. Like he was phenomenal.
I also don't remember dynamite being like Dracula's thing, but it was still pretty. It was a good extension.
I mean, when he's not in Transylvania, he's
mining
down at the fireworks store.
Yeah, and I guess where was this taking place at? There was a swamp nearby, so was this in like Louisiana?
We don't even know.
Or
they don't say.
It's in Shadowbrook Lane.
It's in every town USA.
Dracula had a house already set up and waiting for him. Because didn't he come over in like a transatlantic flight in the beginning
with his good old pal Frankenstein?
With a clearly marked coffin that said
Frankenstein.
This already is an alternate universe because we have Groundhog Day 12.
That's true. And
which I kind of want a Groundhog Day 12.
Probably doesn't star Bill Murray.
No, I would assume not. He got the script and he tore it up and put it in a shoebox and mailed it back.
Excellent.
No one got that reference. Okay. That's what he did to the Ghostbusters 3.
Ghostbusters 3, one of the many attempts. Yeah.
Yes. But
they should have listened to him. Anyway.
Actually, I have Ghostbusters 3 right here at my desk. I can't find it now, so this is not going to work.
So you're lying to us.
But no, it's the game that Atari put out several years ago. That is amazing. That is Ghostbusters 3.
For the PS2?
No, it was PC, but sure.
So we're at the restaurant this weekend, and Scott's like criticizing this little girl because she's watching the new Ghostbusters.
Oh, I was so pissed.
It was like on an iPad or something like that on the table next to us, and and Scott's like, "Craig, can you believe someone's watching this?" It was like a 5-year-old girl. Anyway, it was the best.
He found it.
This is Ghostbusters 3.
That was also released on PS2.
Okay, whatever.
This is great for the audio podcast.
Yeah,
we're a great visual podcast.
And I wasn't ridiculing the girl. I was saying that it's depressing that that's the one she has to go to.
Okay,
you're
fair.
Totally missing the point. It's depressing that somebody is sitting in a booth at a restaurant.
It was an IHOP.
Okay, you're
that somehow makes it better.
I am the guy
it doesn't make it better. It just makes it less surprising.
I am the guy who tweeted FX and DirecTV to yell at them because on my DirecTV guide it said Ghostbusters, so I clicked on it, and it turned out to be Ghostbusters 20, whatever the hell it was, and so I tweeted some old man rant about how they need to date their movies.
Damn millennials.
It's like watching a Halloween movie. You never know which one it is. They all suck. But
your tweets are going to make it into Paul Feig's next movie. They're going to be reading YouTube comments. It's going to be like, at Scott McFarland, what's this?
That's fine. It'll be the best part of the movie.
Celebrities read mean tweets. Man, real quick, I'll jump in and say
Where are
this
we?
before I'm like way the hell off. I wanted to mention two things. I forget who said it earlier, if it was Craig or Ryan, who mentioned how the movie really gives an amazingly good like due to each of the individual monsters and what they're about. The Wolfman. It was the one that nobody mentioned yet, aside from the fact that he was in the movie and was really strong.
And he had nards.
The fact that he was in the movie and was a reluctant monster, I thought was actually really impressive.
Well, and that's
how he turned at the
guy
end
who
of the
played
movie
him
after he's been
scared.
shot, and he says, "Thank you for killing me and putting me out of this misery." I was like, "Goddamn movie!"
And that's the Universal monster movies. I mean, you watch Lon Chaney Jr. in the Wolfman movies; he does not want to be the Wolfman. Which, by the way, they always keep referring to this other way to kill a Wolfman. Does anyone know the answer to that?
You kill the wolf that made him the Wolfman.
That's one way. Yes. There's another way too, because it was in the film.
Silver bullet.
Silver bullets.
Well, they already said silver bullet. Silver cane. That's how Lon Chaney Jr. kills the original Wolfman in the first movie.
Yes.
Is he beats him with a silver cane, and he becomes a Wolfman after that.
And then that silver cane goes on to be in the werewolf movie Cursed. But we won't talk about that.
It's not just
so
silver.
Here's my question about the. Maybe we should dial up Shane and ask him
He's not doing
about the Wolfman. So how long has he been the Wolfman? And because obviously he's been through this transformation before, or was this like he was warned by his ancestor? I want backstory on how this dude knows that he's the Wolfman. Like, is it like one of those things where his dad was like, sometime this might happen, and then you better watch out. You know,
this isn't Teen Wolf.
I don't, but I don't
Teen
like.
Wolf
I just
too.
don't understand. Like, has he been turning into the Wolfman all this time?
I think he has been, because for him to go into a jail and to throw people and already knowing his strength and then shooting a gun and saying "lock me up." I mean, he's going to great lengths here.
I mean, he's trying to do death by cop.
He's going to great lengths.
See, I read that the opposite way. I read that as he has only recently become a Wolfman.
That's what I'm thinking.
Let's say if Rudy is like 45 years old, then the dude that turns into the Wolfman is like in his 70s. So this is new to him, right?
You could see it that way too.
How many full moons occur each year? So I mean, like, none of the people in the police station seem to recognize him.
Like
They'd be like,
there's a full moon once a month, right?
They'd be like, "Oh shit, Steve's
twice
here
in
again,
blue moons,
trying to get himself locked up."
Well, and he's the one that's the most contrived to get there. The rest of them, it's pretty cut and dry. They're all on the same plane. I don't know why. I don't know.
Did they address?
Oh no, the mummy was in the museum. The mummy was in the.
But he was woken up when Dracula came to this town that we don't know what state it's in.
But the creature was definitely on the plane because his coffin drops into the lake.
No, that was Frankenstein.
There was two.
Yeah.
Oh, there were two coffins?
Yeah, it was a creature.
Oh, okay. All right.
But yeah, so I don't know, is it because the amulet's becoming active after 100 years that they're starting to come out of the woodwork, they're being drawn to it? They kind of don't give us any kind of backstory on that.
I think it's Dracula calling dominion over them, or
could be.
I think they heard that Jason Hervey was in this movie, and so they all flocked to that town. That's what it is. I'm going to pick on Jason Hervey.
Okay. And then
it's his breakout role. I mean, come on.
Is it really his breakout role? That's like saying
most people remember him from, like, what was it, The Wonder Years? But I mean, we all know it was really this movie propelled him into the 100 Deeds of Eddie McDowd, and then
EJ.
Yeah. Anyway,
that's like saying Stephen Mock is like made for this movie, which he's in everything, but no one knows who he is.
You're right, because I have to go look him up now.
He's the dad.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. Okay.
Dropped your candy bar, EJ.
Son of a gun. All right, two more things, because you just brought another one up. Before I forget it, Van Helsing. Did any of you guys know who the hell Van Helsing was until, like, you got to high school and discovered anime? Because I didn't.
I knew.
Well, I knew because of the...
Don't say Hugh Jackman.
No, not because... And it wasn't the Universal movies. It was the... Oh, my God. Why can't I figure out...
Dracula with Gary Oldman. Anthony Hopkins.
No, stop.
Seriously?
No, it's before then. It's the Hammer movies. Hammer.
Oh.
You guys don't know the Hammer films?
Hammer movies?
Rings a bell.
The Hammer films were basically Hammer was the producer and he was redoing the Universal Monsters for the UK. And Christopher Lee was the Dr. Frankenstein.
Yep.
All of those. So yeah. Helsing, that's
okay.
correct.
Fair enough.
Did he hit him on the head? Did he hit the nail on the head?
Can we boot him off now?
He said no hammer, don't hurt him.
The other joke I was going to make about Stephen Mock is that everyone
Come at me.
The other thing I was going to say about Stephen Mock is everyone just assumes that he's another guy, and now I'm blanking on that guy's name too.
Stan Shaw?
No.
The other detective?
Eric Roberts.
Yes, I could see that.
The Master.
Yeah, I could see that.
From the failed Doctor Who spinoff.
I love that Stan Shaw's in this. As the buddy cop. He's fun.
I love his laugh when he gets in the car.
Man.
Yeah, I can't even say.
So I was the only one that found him incredibly offensive.
Well, how many times does he say, "I'm a good cop"? You know that, right? I'm a good cop.
Oh yeah, no, I thought that part was kind of clever that he had a catchphrase that wasn't like.
My favorite is when the mummy disappears and he's sitting there and he's trying to go over everything and goes, "You didn't take him, did you?" Damn, thought I tried.
Too hard.
I tried.
Okay. Circling back to my point. No, I personally, I didn't know anything about Van Helsing in relation to the whole Dracula myth or mythology until like I discovered anime and there's the Helsing cartoon series, and then like way later Van Helsing started appearing in other things and had his own movie with Hugh Jackman and blah 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 blah. So the fact that he was in this actually like today it surprised me that the mention of Van Helsing was in there. I had no idea. The other thing I was going to point out, and we'll talk about this maybe more, but in reference to the father, it's the number of heavy themes in this movie.
Oh yeah,
it's bullying, marital problems, like
Holocaust.
Yes, thank you. There's just like a smorgasbord of stuff that they shoved into this thing, besides monsters.
And I think that's part of the Shane Black thing is he's known for kind of inserting a lot of different things into his films, and sometimes it works, and a lot of times it doesn't.
I was gonna say we've kind of been ragging on Shane, but the fact of the matter is, if you look across, at least I feel, if I look down his filmography as a writer, you know, it's a solid mix of things that were awesome and things that were not awesome.
Things that worked and things that didn't.
I'm just still bitter about Iron Man 3. And the more I watch Iron Man 3, I get less bitter about it. But, God, the third act of Iron Man 3 just pisses me off.
Man,
well, it's just, it's a movie that doesn't belong in, I mean, it's a Shane Black movie in the Marvel Universe. So,
yeah.
But, you know, I do think he's pretty talented overall.
I agree with you 100%.
Bang Bang was great,
yep.
You know, so he's got some awesome films, for sure.
Man, I'm a big fan.
He's a great writer.
The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Dude, Long Kiss Goodnight is awesome.
How many times did we watch that movie in high school? Way too many.
Not a dick, it's a duck.
Probably too many. Lethal Weapon 4, holy shit, man! Like,
I love Lethal Weapon 4.
So good, and The Nice Guys is an incredible film.
Yep,
it's basically Lethal Weapon again, but yes,
yeah, with Russell Crowe and Ryan Reynolds.
It's Lethal Weapon with
boobs.
Yeah,
boobs.
So before we get completely off the tracks here, the one monster we haven't talked about that I think we obviously should, and that is Frankenstein.
Man. Oh, well, yeah.
We haven't talked about the creature from the Black Lagoon, or the Gill Man.
The Gill Man, whatever. But Tom Noonan plays Frankenstein's monster. Does anyone know what Tom Noonan is known for?
Yes.
What do you got?
He was in Mindhunter. He was the original Red Dragon.
That's sure. If you want to actually like film, that's it. He's Kane from RoboCop 2.
He's also in Deadwood.
I was gonna say he was Wilson from Home Improvement.
Was he?
No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't. But no, again, Craig, I think you hit on this in your first part. Is they do the Frankenstein monster really well. They kind of. I'm trying to stay on task.
I killed Mike.
Got me.
Mike's broken.
Okay, go ahead. We're okay.
All right.
They do the Frankenstein monster very, very well, and I like that he's got an arc to him. He starts out being just the slave to Dracula, obviously, but at the end of the film, he you have to shed a tear when he gets sucked into limbo, and she throws scraps at him. It's just nice.
He even sounds like Frankenstein, like just
baby. That's part of the guy from Goonies.
Scary,
Bogus.
Like, boy.
The one that I couldn't understand is when he is actually zapped into existence. What he says to Dracula, I had to put on the closed captions.
So long.
Long time, master.
He was just repeating what Dracula was saying. About so long. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, let's talk about Gilman.
He gets shot in the chest with a shotgun. What else?
Originally, when he was shot, he was supposed to spit up goldfish, and I just thought, man, that would have been awesome.
Would they have been coy?
They filmed it too, but they never used it. I'm like, man.
How do you kill a Dracula? With a wooden stake. How do you kill a Wolfman? Silver bullets. How do you kill a Gilman?
Shotgun.
Shotgun outside of Burger King.
Give him a Twinkie and shoot him.
How much did Burger King pay to have all the placements in this movie? They're on the roof with the father and son when they're watching the drive-in movie.
Yep.
They're at the scene of the crime for the Gilman.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the other one is the Mummy, and played much better than Tom Cruise could ever play the Mummy. And I see myself with now an 8-year-old. I want to be the father that deals with the mummy in the closet, because that asshole is just what I want to be in a dad. Ooh, monsters!
Doesn't even look in the closet.
No monsters here. Oh, a scary monster!
You're gonna cut that crap out.
I want to be a dick. I probably already am.
Quiet.
The only mummy that, I don't know. My mummy is still Arnold Vosloo, but go on.
I'll give you that for contemporary and having its own center movie, but for this, it got the jobs done.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna slide Scorpion King in there just for you.
Stop it! They just released their 6th Scorpion King movie.
Seriously? There's more than one?
Yes.
Yeah, starring the dude from Black Sails. I might have to go watch that.
The special effects can't be any worse.
It's like Book of the Dead or something.
It can't be any worse than The Mummy Returns. They need to remaster that. I can't believe I'm saying it, but they need to remaster that.
I don't even remember what happens in Mummy Returns. I liked Mummy.
The Rock. That's all. Yeah.
Well, The Rock shows up in the last 5 minutes of Mummy Returns.
Yeah. It was all good up until then. I mean, that was still good, except for the terrible CGI. Anyway.
Awful.
Way off track again.
So what are some things we didn't like about the movie?
You can skip me because I love this movie 100%.
Honestly, for what it is, I got nothing. I mean, as much as I talked about the jarring language and stuff, it is an authentic film.
Yeah, it's very contemporary.
And
for its time.
There's really nothing else bad to say. It is exactly what it pretends to, or what it says it's going to be, and a little bit more.
I guess I would want just a little bit more explanation. I still want an answer to the Wolfman question.
I'll go with Craig. The movie is short.
And I get why it's short. You're not going to put this as a 2-hour movie.
Right.
Mike would, but I think there could have been a little bit more explanation when the monsters were forming, the monster
squad
was
the murder
forming.
Of monsters.
The murder of monsters was forming.
I don't feel like I had any real connection to the kids either.
Yeah, and I think that would have been really good. I think that the kids, they did a good job of even that one scene at the school beforehand, kind of painting them as the nerds and the outcasts, and then Rudy comes in and swoops in and saves them. They really don't give his motivation for doing that at all.
He always seems like the odd man out.
What I just picked up is he's Horace's neighbor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even still, have you just defended your neighbor's honor at school? If you're the cool, I don't know. It's just
none of us were ever the cool kids, so how will we know?
Fair.
honestly, I feel like they almost cut something from the film because he went up into their treehouse and immediately saw that like the neighbor's like sister was like he was getting a show, and like that could have been his motivation for honing in on the whole group.
No,
Well,
that's
I think
true.
that was after he was up there. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's how it came off, but I'm like they could have flipped it a little bit and made
Yeah.
that his motivation for getting involved with the
get in with the
birds
little
in first
brother
place.
to get in with the sister.
But yeah, I mean, I think they painted the kids as a group just fine. I don't feel like, aside from Rudy, I don't know any other names. I mean,
Yeah, that kid. Horse.
Sean, Patrick.
Oh well,
Phoebe.
okay, you
Don't
got
look
me.
at IMDb while you're doing that.
Dude, I'm sitting here right. I didn't even watch
No,
the movie
I
like Mike
believe-
did
I
today. This
believe
is my
that Ryan
favorite.
knows
One of
all
my
of them.
favorite.
The one thing I'll go along with all of you and kind of put it all together and say the film is very short.
82 minutes.
Yeah, it's
82.
and getting the monsters together is very contrived. We assume the amulet is kind of drawing them in or something, but then the only reason why the kids are involved is because mom picked up the Van Helsing book at a garage sale? Question mark?
Coincidentally,
On Shadow Brick Road.
I love and this comes from playing Castlevania, like 4 or whatever it is. There you go. I know Alucard is Dracula, but the fact that he has to sit there and stare at it for a good minute, just like I don't. Is it an anagram? What is this?
I can do anagrams.
hey, do we know Alucard? Is that? I mean, I know that's from Castlevania, but is that from anything else?
I'm sure it is. It's probably from one of the films. Well, no, it is. It's from the Universal films because his son is named Alucard in the Universal films.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
that was more than just a Castlevania thing. All right.
Yeah, but I know it from Castlevania.
Speaking of which, throw that
My
up.
parents are fighting. I'm gonna do an anagram.
If you haven't, yeah, no shit. If you haven't watched the Castlevania Netflix series, it's good.
I hear that. The season 2 is coming out pretty soon, isn't it?
Yeah.
But as I was saying, so the getting the monsters together is kind of contrived. But that third act moves so quickly.
And
It's amazing. I love the all the fight scenes with Dracula basically wiping out an entire police force.
It's just a neck-breaking machine.
Yeah.
The best one is when he's got the guy in the headlock, and
Yeah.
right where he snaps the neck, you hear the gun ricochet.
See, like that's like Rudy killing the brides of Dracula. Like, I wish I would have been able to see that but I feel like the movie was already violent enough for the '80s for PG-13. They're like, we can't show everything.
Well,
And so
you see the blood on the one girl when she goes,
right, but
Yeah.
like, there's 3 of them, and you only see him take down 1 or 2.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's not real exciting cinema when they kind of walk up like
Yeah.
zombies and then just.
bang.
You're missing zombies from this movie, which I realize are not Universal monsters.
That's why they should have made a sequel.
There's
Well, they
still time.
definitely should have made additional movies on this. I don't understand why they
Limbo
didn't.
opens back up.
This seems like it's ripe for. There's so many remakes right
Well,
now.
the problem-
Like,
the problem is remakes are one thing. They couldn't do a sequel because they killed all the monsters in one movie.
But you could open up Limbo, and we don't know if Dracula's alive or dead.
There was almost a remake by Michael Bay's Platinum Doom's production company,
of course, there was.
and thank God above that didn't happen.
Well,
Well,
and
I mean,
I'll
if
tell
they
you-
butchered Chainsaw Massacre and Friday the 13th, why not do Monster Squad?
I'll tell you why there hasn't been a sequel or a remake. Domestic gross of this film, $3,700,000.
But it's a cult classic. It is a cult
It
classic.
is a cult classic.
The budget's in A. We don't know what the budget was. But
Well,
yeah,
I mean, you have Stan Winston doing all your makeup effects, so I mean that's a pretty penny right there.
I'm saying the budget could not have been small.
it
no,
was the
It had an
top.
original soundtrack and it had pretty good special effects.
It was among the 125 top grossing movies of 1987. It was 124.
It's 20 by that much.
Jason Hervey doesn't work cheap, man.
Now I want to know what 125 was. Hold on, I gotta find this out. 125. It beat out. I gotta go one more down. The Chipmunk Adventure was 100. That's a good movie, by the way. I like the Chipmunk Adventure. Alan Quartermain and the Lost City of Gold.
Wow, never. I mean, I know who.
I'm assuming that's not Sean Connery.
Never heard of that movie.
Alan Quartermain was
Now I want to talk about the Chipmunk Adventure.
No.
You're on your own.
I'm out.
Let's flash back another one. You could be the only one on it.
Hey, Ryan, Teen Wolf 2 was 93.
All right.
Boxing Teen Wolf.
Jesus Christ.
Let's finish this thing. Like the creature from the Black Lagoon, let's put it out of its misery with shotgun. Anyone have any closing remarks for Monster Squad?
I just have to say this, Horace is my favorite character. Rudy shoots a silver bullet and gets knocked back, and Horace shoots a shotgun and just stands tall the whole time. So, and then he cocks it and goes, "My name is Horace." Hands down.
Everybody talks about Steve from Stranger Things as being the older kid that takes all the younger kids under their wing and becomes Dad Steve, and he's the hero of the adventure. But there was Rudy.
It's Rudy. Yeah. And before that, there was also Josh Brolin as well.
Yeah.
So if Rudy's the dad, does that make Scary German Guy the grandfather?
Yes.
Scary German Guy's Magneto. I've made that connection now.
I think that we need to do a better job as
podcasting.
Well, that and as a society, where we need to bring this movie more to the masses, because when you think about Stranger Things, people always compare that to the Goonies, and the Goonies is a solid film, but truly Stranger Things is Monster Squad.
It is 100%
more.
And so I think that if we informed the public more and our wonderful listeners, maybe we can recruit people to go and spread the news, the good news of the Monster Squad to people. Then people will realize the greatness of this film.
It is the time of year where there are political campaign signs up all over the place. I can just start putting out some signs of my own. No one will notice.
One that says Stephen King rules. One that says my name is Horace.
Stranger Things
Could you fat kid? What makes fat kid fat?
Could you imagine if the best insight? I need to rename myself Horace, and then that way I could run for something, and it would just put my name is Horace.
You'd be like Joe Manchin in his West Virginia ads with a shotgun.
Yeah.
Just real quick, so. I said the thing about Horace, but I want to say this. This movie is expertly written. It doesn't take itself seriously. And you're watching a horror movie, but you're watching a comedy. And it makes fun of itself. When Sean goes to ask his dad if he can go watch a movie, and he goes, the plot. And he sits there and he just regurgitates it. And he goes, they did that in part 7. I mean, this movie is almost meta in that sense, and as in the 80s, that's almost unheard of. So to me, the fact watching it now, it's a greater appreciation because it doesn't take itself seriously, and it's still a great film.
It simultaneously does and doesn't take itself seriously, right? Which is bizarre.
It's scary, but it's supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too. I'm not a horror fan at all. I don't like horror movies. Not that I'm scared of them like Craig. They kind of bore me. I don't get.
I love
excited
them.
I know you do, but I don't get excited about the tension build-ups things. So, but because this film is exactly what you described, I don't. I get a lot of YouTube watching in. Because this is what you described, Ryan. I enjoy it a lot. I think it's the same reason why I like Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah,
because it's
thing.
the same kind of idea.
Same thing.
And Evil Dead for that matter, because it's the same kind of thing. But yeah, time is almost up. It's the last chance for pie.
I think we all recommend that you go watch this.
Who wants dessert?
And of course, the only kid
on Amazon Prime.
The only kid eating the cherry pie is Fat Kid.
Fat Kid.
I'd die if I ate cherry pie. I'm allergic to cherries.
I'm sorry.
You should go have a slice.
Those Pop-Tarts.
Just kidding, Craig. Just kidding.
Did you just tell me to die, Ryan?
I have to keep our rivalry up. We were agreeing too much on this. I didn't like the way it was going.
Yeah.
On that note,
it's cool. I can go get a piece of cherry pie.
Please don't.
While I'm at it, I'm going to go look for that wedding invite. So, I'll be back. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Newly married.
My wife said the same thing. She's like, "Isn't he on a podcast with you?"
Okay, so extremely small wedding, and I told my wife now. I go, I have to invite. She goes, we don't have the money. I'm like, oh, whatever. But you guys were in my hearts.
That's what credit cards are for.
Yeah.
I think I'm still paying off my wedding 10 years later.
Well, this was fun. We should meet again next Halloween to talk Space Invaders.
Yes.
Or it could be our Thanksgiving special for no apparent reason. I got nothing for November right now.
Or you can do it for July 4th.
There's a real
instead of
gap
Independence Day.
in Thanksgiving Day
Invaders.
movies.
For hey, serious suggestion. For November, you should do Election.
I'd do that.
I've never actually seen it.
What?
Oh my god, no. I have an idea.
Reese Witherspoon and the Bee Sting? Bee Sting was the best part of that movie.
You have an idea?
I have an idea. Although the election will be over. Because we're at the end of the month.
Well, we could change that.
Good. I like My Fellow Americans. It's a good movie.
Oh, that is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And it
can't
does.
wait to see the remake that they're talking about doing with like Kevin Hart.
What comedy does not have Kevin Hart in it? Plain Kevin Hart.
A good one.
Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
I love the Jumanji, the new one, except for the fact that Kevin Hart plays Kevin Hart in it.
Yeah, Kevin Hart does kind of play Kevin Hart in it. Although, what was it? CIA was pretty good.
He still played Kevin Hart
He
in
did.
it.
Nah, he was a little. He took it down a notch for that one.
And The Rock took it up a notch.
No, actually, The Rock played a fantastic role in that one.
Okay, we're done.
We are done.
We've talked about everything from Kevin Hart to Monster Squads to my marriage. So yeah,
Jason Murray. Yep.
Monster Squalls.
Squad. Sorry,
Are we going to watch The Perfect Storm?
Murder of monsters.
A gaggle of monsters.
A flock of monsters.
A
flock of Frankensteins.
A herd of
I'm
monsters.
Scott. Who are you?
I'm Ryan.
I'm Craig.
I'm Mike.
And until next time, we'll see you on the couch if we find our way back.
Come back and watch
weeping
us
willow
entertain
of
ourselves again.
Monsters.
A weeping willow of monsters.
I-
Hey, Craig, do we have anything we want to announce, by the way? I can't remember.
I don't think so.
Okay. No flick or anything?
Not at the moment. Still trying to nail that down.
Okay. Hint, hint.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think we're good.
All right. You can find us at the frontrowmoviereviews.com. Frontrowmoviereviews.com. Send all your hate mail to the frontrowmoviereviews@gmail.com. I feed off your hate.
Wolfman
Mike.
has nards.
Wolfman's got
And
nards.
Asnards.
Bye.
Well, have a good night, y'all.